welcome into the Sporting News Studios. Tom Vandervoort with longtime NFL defensive coach Alvin Reynolds. And Coach, we're going through the NFC East. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, because I think a lot of football fans looked at this team last year at this time and said, world-beaten team. They didn't make the playoffs. The defense didn't play that well. What do you expect out of that defense this year?
You know what? I really expect them to be a whole lot better and more comfortable going into this season. They now had a year, along with the new coordinator, Juan Castillo, to actually take the offseason and implement. Because last year, if you remember, we had the lockout.
Yep,
so they didn't have a chance to really get into learning the intricacies of the defense. And then as they went along last season, I think if you remember, they got better at the end of the season. So I look for big things from them this year.
You look at their line, and their line is outstanding. You look at their secondary, a lot of big names back there. Obviously, they don't have Samuel anymore. But the linebacking play was a question last year. Yeah. They went out and get a Ryans. What's your take on their linebacker specifically?
My take on it, that was a weak spot for him. But I believe in the time that I've seen DeMeco Ryans in the league, he's a very excellent, good communicating linebacker. So I think he'll really help that linebacking core.
How important is that? You know, you look at the linebackers kind of basically between the line and the secondary. So what is their role in terms of connecting those two pieces of the defense?
Actually, the role for a linebacker, I think, is a lot similar to the quarterback. They're the quarterback of the defense. And it's based on your system also. But one thing that's true for all defenses, communication is very key, from the linebackers to the front and the linebackers to the back end.
So that's why you're talking about Ryans being a communicator. That's so important. And if you put a young guy in there, nothing against Casey Matthews, but you put a young guy in there, maybe that taxes that part of the defense.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And it creates, at times, the mental errors that you see is more likely lack of communication.
That's interesting. And how many plays would you say are made against the defense because of mental errors versus physical errors?
I think the ones that people say those maybe 4 or 5 plays a game, that might be because
of mental errors.
Maybe mental error, or maybe the offense just being better than the defense that day. So.
I gotcha. Okay, now let's talk about the offense. Michael Vick, obviously a big name at quarterback, and they have the nice pieces in the backfield with Sean McCoy, and at wide receiver with Deshaun Jackson. Yes. So there's a lot to like on offense for Philadelphia too.
Yes, sir. I think McCoy was leading touchdown maker last year.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
So he was excellent last year. I mean, very elusive guy. Not someone I think that you're going to make a downhill runner. he's more of go wherever.
Right, more of an elusive back.
Elusive back, wherever the hole is. I don't know if you remember the name Charlie Garner.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
He's a lot like Charlie Garner.
Interesting.
Very hard to pin down where he's going to end up. You may think he's going to go to the left, the defensive right, but he may go back the other way.
Is that a vision thing also with guys like that, where they just see some of those openings that maybe other guys don't see?
I just think it's something that's very special with him, an innate ability that he has.
Now, what about Michael Vick as a quarterback? If you're game planning for him, what are kind of the problems that he presents? I think people underrate his arm. He's got an excellent arm, but he's very elusive. We know that.
Well, I think for most people, I know that have played over the years, play a guy like Michael Vick, our big thing was to keep him in the pocket. You actually want him to throw out of the pocket.
Right.
I mean, if that makes sense.
Given the choice of him running around back
there. Running around, you wanted to keep him in the pocket. So what you do is control your rush lanes, especially outside with the ends. You really didn't want to do a whole lot of games in front. What I mean by game is stunt the defensive tackle upfield, bring the in underneath, because you wanted to make sure you kept him in the pocket and bottled in.
Is that a guy you would blitz a lot, or would you be wary of throwing extra guys up there?
You know what? I don't think it made much of a difference back at the time when we played him. If you were rushing just a 4-man rush, keep him in the pocket is very difficult, because what he can do then is step up and then find throwing lanes, or he could take off. And if you blitz him and the blitz lanes aren't controlled, then he could.
Then he's running wild.
Running wild.
Okay. Now let's talk about where you see this team going. I think both of us feel like they're going to bounce back with the talent that they have. What do you see as a potential?
I just see, just because of the defense itself and the offense, them being so strong and have so much talent, I see them at a 13-3 this year.
That's strong. And that's a Super Bowl contending type record for that team.
Yes.
Yep, I agree with you. For Alvin Reynolds, I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks for watching.